Hi there. I'm making some bread for our Sunday meal tomorrow. And you may ask yourself, well, if you're making bread for tomorrow, why are you starting it today? And the reason is because I'm making baguettes. And I've never done this before, so I looked up a recipe, and the one I found seemed rather complicated, seemed challenging, and that's good because I feel like I've been doing pretty well with these bread recipes I've been trying, so I wanted to try something that was a little bit harder. So we're going to make baguettes. In this particular recipe, for classic baguettes, requires us to make a starter mix and let it sit overnight. So we're going to make this mix. It's 1 cup of flour, 1/2 cup of cool water, and 1/16 of a teaspoon of yeast. So we're going to mix that all together and let it sit overnight, and we'll pick this back up again tomorrow. It's going to take us, including rise time and all the other stuff we need to do, about 4 hours to make it. Labor time, it's probably going to be about a half hour, but bread takes time. So first step here, we're going to make our starter, and it's just mixing this stuff together and covering it with a little plastic wrap. So here we go. Ready? Start with a cup of flour, 1/2 cup of cool water. I only have 1/8 of a teaspoon, so we'll use half of this for the yeast. All right, let's stir this up and cover it up, and then I guess we'll see you tomorrow. All right, there's our starter. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, it's Sunday. We're ready to make the bread now. The starter has been bubbling and rising for overnight. Said 14 hours was what it was supposed to be. It was overnight. It looks amazing, doesn't it? It smells amazing too. Okay, so the next step is we mix all of the next ingredients into the mixer and mix it, then knead it for about 4 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and mix these next parts. We start with 3.5 cups of flour. Then 1 cup of lukewarm water plus 2 tablespoons. All of the starter. Look at that. So amazing. And 2 teaspoons of salt. Now, knowing a little bit spilled, I'm not filling the teaspoon all the way up, so. All right, let's start mixing. Then we're going, once we feel like it's mixed well, we're gonna go ahead and knead it. 4 minutes on medium-low. One of the things we forgot in this was the yeast. So we're going to put that in now. Hopefully this is not a disaster. Clearly, based on that mistake, I'm still learning, so hopefully we're not going to have a disaster from that. All right, it's been 4 minutes. Our next step is to transfer the bread into a lightly greased bowl and cover it up and let it rise for 45 minutes. Hopefully our little mistake with the yeast here is not going to cost us. I guess we'll find out over time. So we'll see how forgiving this is. In the meantime, let's go ahead and transfer the bread to this bowl and let it rise. Swish it around a little bit and let it get a little bit of oil on it. We'll cover it up and we'll see you back here in 45 minutes. All right, it's been 45 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next step, which means punching this down and then flipping it over and letting it rise again. Another 45 minutes. Now, while we are letting this rise for the next cycle, we're also gonna start making our garlic butter mix we're gonna make. We're gonna whip some butter along with some garlic and some herbs and stuff that we're gonna be able to sprinkle on top, as well as put on the bread itself. So let's go ahead and flip this, let it rise, and get started making the butter. Now the garlic butter recipe calls for 2 sticks of butter that are softened to room temperature, 5 garlic cloves minced. I'm going to use a garlic press on that. I want this to be a little more finely mushed. 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, 2 tablespoons of dried oregano, 2 tablespoons of minced basil. They want fresh. I have dried. We'll use half. 1 tablespoon of parsley minced. 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. All right, let's get the butter in the bowl. All right, so I've got some really huge garlic cloves here, so I'm going to cut these in half, and I'll only use 4 instead of the 5. All right, it smells amazing. All right, next, 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan. 2 tablespoons of dried oregano, 1 tablespoon, so 1/2 tablespoon of basil, and 1/2 tablespoon of parsley. 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt. All right, now we take a mixer to this and we whip it. All right, this looks amazing. I can think of about 1 million things I could use this for. But what I'm going to use this for is I'm going to take one of these brushes here and brush it on the top when they're still hot, and then we'll be able to cut them or break them or tear them or whatever, and then put that on the inside as well. So that's that. We'll be back here probably in another 20, 25, 30 minutes. I don't know how long that just took me. And start on the next part of the bread baking. So we'll see you back here in just a little bit. All right, it's been another 45 minutes. The next step in this is we are going to turn this dough out onto a piece of parchment, and we're going to punch it down because it's going to be partially risen, and we're going to divide it up into the baguette size portions. Now, this recipe calls for 2 different ways of making this. You can make the standard 16-inch baguettes, or you can make Demi Baguettes, which are about 8 inches. We're going to go with the latter because I want to use this as a dinner roll kind of thing. So we're going to take this, roll it out, and divide it up into 6 roll it into a ball, and then we're going to cover it with a greased plastic. We're going to reuse this plastic. And then allow it to rise again. We're going to let it rest. Then we're going to form the baguettes after that. But right now we're going to put it in individual balls and let it rest and move on from there. So let's go ahead and get this turned out and divide it up. All right, 6 pieces. All right, so we have our 6 pieces here. We're going to now roll them into balls. And then we'll cover them. A couple of them are a little smaller. Okay, we're going to go ahead and cover it up. And we'll see you back here in about 45 minutes. All right, the next step is actually forming the loaves. So we're going to follow their process. They say to press it down sort of flat, and then fold it over almost in half, and then flip it 180 degrees, and do it again until it starts to elongate. So after we're done forming the loaves, we'll let it rise for another 45 minutes, then we'll be ready to put it in the oven. All right, let's get the loaves formed. And it says to round off the ends to give it that baguette look. All right, so here's our first loaf. We'll do this with the rest, and then we'll be ready to let it rise one more time. All right, there's our baguettes. We're going to give them a chance to rise now, and then we'll get them in the oven in about 45 minutes. See you back then. All right, we're on our last step before we put it in the oven. We're going to remove the plastic. We're going to use our bread lame to slice 3 slashes across the top. And then we're going to use our baker's peel, which is underneath here, to lift the whole thing up and place it on our baking stone. Now our baking stone is on the middle rack in the oven. On the bottom rack we have our Dutch oven that we're going to put 1.5 cups of boiling water in. That's part of this process. Apparently the boiling water does some really neat stuff to the bread. So boiling water in the pot on the bottom, using the peel to place these beautiful loaves onto the breadstone, and we will bake it for 28 minutes at 450 degrees. All right, let's go ahead and get the slashing done and get it in the oven. Trying to cut them at like a 45-degree angle. I'm not very good at this part. I think bread lame is probably a skill that I need to work on some more. All right, let's pick this up. Let's get this into the oven and get the boiling water in the bottom. And in 28 minutes, we'll have baguettes. Minutes. The bread's ready. All right, bread's ready. Let's get it out. All right, getting ready to try the bread.
Okay, I just put on some butter. Ready?
Yeah. Is it baguette-y?
Very buttery.
Is it done?
Yeah.
Inside out?
Yeah. Just
crispy?
Yeah. Just the right amount of salt.
What do you think about the butter?
Like it.
Garlicky?
Mm-hmm.
Cheesy?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. It's super good.
I told you.
I love it. I guess I did a good job. Okay, we're going to go eat. We'll see you guys later. Bye now.
Bye.